In ancient Greek mythology, there were 12 major gods who were believed to rule the world. These gods were Zeus, Hera, Poseidon, Demeter, Athena, Apollo, Artemis, Ares, Hephaestus, Aphrodite, Hermes, and Hestia. They were known as the Olympians because their home was said to be Mount Olympus. Although these beings were immortal, they closely resembled humans in appearance and behavior, showing emotions and weaknesses similar to mankind. Alongside these gods were enormous beings known as titans, as well as demigods, hybrid beings created through the union of a god and a human. Demigods were said to possess extraordinary abilities, placing them somewhere between mortals and gods. But what if there is something far more unsettling behind the Greek gods and the creatures described in Greek mythology? One of the most famous stories in the Bible speaks of a rebellion in heaven between Satan and his angels, and Michael with his angels. According to this account, Satan and those who followed him were defeated and expelled from heaven, sent down to earth. What is especially interesting is that these angels carried a deep desire to be worshipped. After arriving on earth, this desire did not fade. Humanity soon began treating these powerful beings as gods, bowing to them and creating idols in their honor. This act angered God greatly, leading to the commandment that states, "You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not create idols or images of anything in heaven, on earth, or in the waters below. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I am the Lord your God, a jealous God, who holds generations accountable for those who turn away from me." There are striking similarities between fallen angels and the gods found in Greek mythology, as well as in other ancient cultures. One of the clearest explanations for this appears in a lesser-known ancient text discovered among the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch expands on the brief mentions of angels found in the Book of Genesis and reveals unsettling details. It describes a group of angels known as the Watchers who descended to earth and formed relationships with human women. From these unions, giant offspring were born. These beings became known as the Nephilim. This description closely mirrors how demigods are created in Greek mythology. In those stories, a god or goddess has a child with a human, producing a powerful hybrid. The process is nearly identical. A well-known example of a Greek demigod is Hercules, one of the most famous figures in Greek mythology. Even people unfamiliar with Greek lore have heard of him. Hercules was said to be the son of Zeus and a mortal woman named Alcmene. This combination gave him incredible strength, far beyond that of ordinary humans. In a similar way, the Nephilim were also described as beings of tremendous strength. However, not all Nephilim were the same size. Some, such as the biblical figure Goliath, were said to be around 9 feet tall. Earlier Nephilim, according to ancient writings, were far larger, some reaching hundreds or even thousands of feet in height. These descriptions strongly resemble the Titans of Greek mythology. The Book of Enoch describes the women who gave birth to the first Nephilim, stating that they bore massive giants whose height reached 3,000 cubits. Since 1 cubit measures roughly 1.25 feet, this would equal approximately 1,150 feet in height. Greek Titans were also believed to be enormous. For example, Atlas was famously described as holding up the heavens, suggesting an immense and unimaginable size. Cronus, the leader of the Titans, was also portrayed as a gigantic being. Although Greek sources do not provide exact measurements, Titans were clearly imagined as far larger than normal beings, fitting their role as ancient elemental forces. Another fascinating similarity lies in location. According to the Book of Enoch, the Watchers descended upon Mount Hermon before corrupting themselves with humanity. In Greek mythology, the gods were said to dwell on Mount Olympus. In both traditions, divine beings are associated with sacred mountains. These comparisons could go on endlessly, but the central question remains, were the Greek gods actually fallen angels? Regardless of personal belief, it is difficult to ignore the many parallels between Greek mythology and biblical texts. There is clear evidence of shared themes and influences behind these ancient stories. Some Greek gods even closely resemble descriptions of angels found in the Bible. As someone who follows the Christian faith, I believe the Bible clearly explains why fallen angels were cast out of heaven, their desire to be like God. When these beings arrived on earth, that desire did not disappear. Instead, it grew stronger. The Book of Enoch explains that fallen angels taught humanity forbidden knowledge from heaven. Interestingly, Greek mythology often portrays its gods as teachers who gave humans knowledge, skills, and guidance. This leads to another important question. Which came first, Greek mythology or the Bible? In terms of written records, Greek mythology appears slightly older. Homer's epics, which include many mythological stories, were written around the 8th century BCE. The earliest written portions of the Old Testament date from approximately the 12th to the 5th centuries BCE. While Greek mythology's texts are older, both traditions come from much earlier oral histories that are difficult to trace precisely. One comparison I personally find unusual involves Zeus. If these belief systems are connected, Zeus, the ruler of the Olympian gods, could be compared to Satan, the leader of the fallen angels, or even Samyaza, the leader of the Watchers mentioned in the Book of Enoch. What makes this connection even more intriguing is symbolism. Zeus is known as the god of lightning, and the Bible states that Satan fell from heaven like lightning. I am not claiming these belief systems are identical. I am only pointing out the similarities. I do believe that when nearly every culture across the world tells stories of gods or angels descending from the sky and interacting with humans, it suggests that something extraordinary may have actually occurred. Many of these cultures had no contact with one another, yet their stories follow remarkably similar patterns. The earliest traces of these stories appear in ancient Sumer, the civilization credited with the world's oldest written language. The Sumerian tablets describe a creation story involving multiple gods known as the Anunnaki. These beings were said to interfere with early humanity, even altering human biology. Interestingly, the Anunnaki resemble a class of angels in the Bible known as cherubim. Some are depicted with human faces and wings, while others have animal features, including the body of a bull, details that match biblical descriptions of cherubim. So the question remains, are all these ancient accounts fragments of one greater story, interpreted differently by separate cultures, or are they entirely unrelated myths? Are the Greek gods actually fallen angels? Share your thoughts in the comments below.